So we set off in the middle route, and it was apparent to me that the only way we would do it is to get help, because we needed a tracked vehicle to take us on this kind of territory. You can see that by now the trucks were going incredibly slowly, because if they went faster they would dig themselves into the snow, which by now was feet and feet thick.
About 3 metres snow depth up ahead, so we don't really know how to get around it. And so someone's going to go up ahead with the track vehicle, probably with the GPS system, and try and work out the easiest route to get through. It's not good news. It's going to get dark soon, and we've got nowhere to go. So. Well, okay. We're going off up the road to the lake to find out a route there, and then come back. So.
This is the kind of thing which could go badly wrong. If they get lost and the snow comes down, we could have a convoy stuck, lickety-stuck, so it's all a gamble. But we knew it would be like this, and it is. It's what we always said would happen, and it's happening.
And so for the first time what I'd done is to split the team up into two, which is something a leader should never do. And then there was a kind of calm, and we got completely lulled by it, because we tried to follow the trucks. We went on driving through the night, and then one of the trucks broke an axle in the middle of absolutely nowhere. And before I knew where I was, the team had split not into two, but into three. Put in perspective, we were further away from any other person than people who fly to the moon are from Earth. We were a long way from nowhere.
We're feeling a bit tense, and certainly for a few of us, we actually feel like we're getting into something here. So we're trying to get to a lake, which is apparently about 60 kilometres ahead from where we are here. We made 24 kilometres, but had to come back 7 last night because we lost the track. So it's a beautiful day, but it's happening.
But Monasteni found a route. Rupert came back, and that meant if we followed the tracks of this track vehicle, we should find a way through, which was extraordinary. And Rupert had taken a GPS and found his way all the way there. And General Victor Karputkin had slept in the back of the track vehicle the entire journey.
We got into the mountains, and then we had a whiteout and really couldn't see anything, and so just continued as best we could using just a GPS computer, and got as far as we could until about 4 in the morning, and then we had to stop. The visibility was down to about 1 metre, and then got up in the morning and got to this camp, which is what we're heading for, about 6-7 kilometres from here. But we've had a lot of trouble finding our way down these valleys. They're very narrow, so it was quite a good thing to get there in the end.
And just we found the way through, so the storm hit. And this is a 4-day storm. But it's not just a 4-day storm, because storms bring all sorts of problems with them.
Tried to save it yesterday when the engine stopped. Oh, but I couldn't stop the snow getting inside the engine. And no more an engine. As you can see, if you look inside this vehicle's not too bad. But L9 back there nearly has a foot of snow inside the vehicle in places. It's incredible. That just destroyed it completely.
And on top of that, Volodya, the driver who I'd been with for most of the journey in truck number 5, suddenly found he had angina. And doc was really needed. And we got to a stage where we felt we'd have to keep on moving forward whatever the weather. So out went the team to see if they could take some rope far enough ahead of the trucks for the trucks to be able to follow. But as always, we'd got the rope in England and it was white, so you couldn't see any of it in the snow time. These little things you get wrong when you're doing the planning. And if one of those people had disappeared, I'd have been in such huge trouble as a leader, letting them go.
We've walked out on a bearing at 73 degrees towards the lake. We know the lake's out there. Rupert did a recce yesterday, the day before, in a tank. We know there's a road out there. We're stuck here in this, well, it's a blizzard. Although Jeff says it's a pretty tame blizzard, I'm not so sure. We know there's a road out there, and luckily we've just found it. We just staked a route out about 500 metres that way. Luckily we found it, so we should be able to get moving pretty soon and find the road to Laverentia.
We'd lost all contact with the outside world. The satellite fax we had wouldn't work. The radios, of course, were well out of range. And we had to move on. And we did it because we had one quite extraordinary driver on the journey called Nikolai.
Fetched the Mavericks and went back again to the lake, but we were left behind. No one in our camp wanted to move. They were too worried. Eventually Connie comes back, bursts through the door and goes, "We're off." And everyone goes off suddenly because they realise it's possible, but no one wanted to go out except him. So we're very much indebted to him for getting us moving. I don't think any of us had the balls to do it. So quiet as he might look, he's actually earned the title of Tundra Man, most important.
And so Tundra Man was the person who really did lead us through it. Without him, we wouldn't have got through. And I have not one shadow of doubt, and nor does anybody else. It was him who did it. And you can see how the wheels just turn an inch or two at a time as he was driving it, so they wouldn't go too far in. And this is why we eventually managed to do less than 11 miles a day.
That truck's up to its axles and beyond in snow, and he's travelled exactly the same route as what Nikolai has travelled. And just because of his not been sympathetic towards the vehicle and understanding the snow conditions, he just buried him. It really is very bad darts at the moment to have that. I mean, it's, you know, accidents can happen to anyone, but you just don't need it right now. You really don't.
Well, it's about 7:30 in the morning. We've been driving through the night in conditions which, well, even the chuk-chuk, the people who live out here, wouldn't drive in. We are 2 kilometres from cracking it. I'm pretty confident we will. A few people have had mild frostbite, but we've actually, well, I think we've succeeded in that first bit. But it's 2 days to go. It's 1 night more drive. So let's keep touching wood. But it's been a good 2 days. Very, very different, and very, very much the kind of expedition feel that people have been saying we might have, but we actually believe we wouldn't, and we've got it yesterday.
And then suddenly, it was fine. There was no storm, the wind had died down, and we were driving on very, very easy roads. One of the reasons it was so easy, because the wind had swept so much of the snow away. But from there, we drove more or less without trouble, all the way to Laverentia. That meant that we had done something that no one ever achieved before. We arrived in the very, very, very furthest town that you can get from Moscow, and the closest you can get to America and Alaska. So we were on the Bering Straits. And it was an extraordinary, elated feeling.
We made it!